Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Courtney McGuigan about her ceremony at the Wedding Pavilion with a reception at the St. Augustine Ballroom at the Grand Floridian Convention Center. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Courtney.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
So I would love to find out how you and your husband decided that you wanted to have a vow renewal at Disney.
So we originally eloped 10 years ago, and it was very fast. We got married within, I believe it was like 8 months of knowing each other. We just went down to the courthouse and got married really quickly. But being the girly girl princess that I am, I've always kind of told him that I did want to have a big wedding someday. As it got closer, I think we decided around the 8-year mark, I kind of started bringing it up a little more, like, hey, I think we should do our vow renewal. Like, I think this would be really great. I just kind of like didn't let up, and it was kind of like going in one ear and out the other. You know, he wasn't really biting. But eventually I wore him down enough that I got him to agree. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember that when he was like, okay, fine, we can do a Disney wedding, I like immediately told my mom. I was sending her like all these pictures of the Disney wedding pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, we're actually going to do this. So I had been planning this probably from around year 8 till we actually got to year 10. Like, it was just like bridal bonanza for 2 years.
So how did your friends and family react when they found out you guys were having a vow renewal at Disney?
It was a little shocking. I think people maybe thought like I was just kind of like throwing it out there and maybe didn't think that it would actually happen. But everybody was really excited. It was really exciting. No, I don't think any of my family has actually been to Disney. So this was a really exciting thing for my family. Ryan's family is actually from Florida. So they're in the Tampa St. Pete area. So they're not too far from Disney, about an hour and a half. They were fairly close, but my family, we're in Texas. Me and Ryan and our children live in Texas. So everybody was really excited.
That's wonderful. How many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
We invited, I think it was around 30, 32. It's actually kind of crazy because that's what we originally started with, was around 30, 32. And then, you know, as I'm kind of talking to people about it and it's coming out, I had a lot of people that were like, oh, I want to go. So like, I gave in and I'm like, okay, well, I'll send you an invite. I'm just that kind of person. Like, I don't like to tell people no. So I was like, okay, I'll send you invites. And then before I knew it, it got to like 75 people, I think. So it more than doubled. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this is getting a little bit out of hand. And luckily, most of the people that were all about it and wanted to go, like they were friends, but I wouldn't say like intimate, you know, like friends and family. So eventually when the time came, when it got down to it, a lot of people had backed out and dropped out. So thank goodness we were actually able to get it back down to 32 people, which was what we originally wanted. So that was pretty awesome.
That's great. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
We did. So I have like a love-hate relationship with the room block situation because I feel like I should have done more research. Like it was probably my bad, but I trusted people when they said that they were gonna, take this many rooms, they were gonna stay for this many days, this, that, and the other. And then when it actually came down to it, we almost didn't meet. Like I was off by one room, and thank goodness somebody from the Disney wedding group, she gave me her room information, which was amazing. So I was able to meet that room block minimum. And I dropped it down. What is it? Like the 10%?
Oh, yeah. It's 20% at 60 days out.
Yeah, 20%. I even dropped it down, but I was just one room short. So luckily we were able to meet that, but it was just such a headache for me. I mean, it's hard to say that because at the end of the day, we did get the free room out of it. If I were to do it again, I don't know that I would do a room block. It wasn't, I feel like, right for me, because even at that time, Disney was having some kind of like, they were trying to get people to book rooms and stuff. So they were giving better rates than my guests were getting, which I was like, oh, like that really stinks because, I thought, they were going to get a discounted rate and stuff like that. But then when I'm looking on the website, those prices are cheaper than my wedding guests are getting, you know? So I think I emailed somebody from my Disney wedding team, and I had mentioned that to them, and, they just said, that's kind of like, the luck of the draw. So we weren't really able to, get those prices. Those prices were better, but it was just like, it was a hassle for me. So I feel like in my situation, it was more stress than it was worth for me.
Got it. Okay. Now, how did you choose the day of the week and time of day for your vow renewal? Was it your actual anniversary?
I did. Yeah. I picked our actual wedding anniversary. It was the middle of the week. It was a Tuesday, but I felt like when you're in Disney, time doesn't exist there. So that was kind of like my mentality. Plus half of the people that were coming were my half. So they were going to be traveling there, it would kind of be like a mini vacation. But I didn't really think about Ryan's side of the family. Like my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, like his family, like it totally did not dawn on me that like they have jobs and stuff and like they would have to take off work. But it all worked out, people took off work and they showed up and it was awesome.
How did you choose your ceremony and reception venues?
So we did the tour about a year before we actually picked our ceremony and reception and everything. I wanted to actually go see all of the places that I had in mind. I wanted to see them in person. So me and Ryan flew out to Florida on, it was one of the weekends that they were doing the open house at the Wedding Pavilion. So we flew out there, and I think first one that we went to was the Wedding Pavilion. And when I tell you, God, the pictures online, the videos, everything just do not do it justice. Like I walked in there and it was like breathless. It's so gorgeous. It's beautiful. And the organist was even playing Beauty and the Beast when we got there. And that's my favorite movie. That's kind of what I based my theming off of. So like when I walked in, the organist was playing Beauty and the Beast. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. It's perfect. Like my jaw just dropped. And I knew, I knew then and there that was going to be the place, but I still wanted to see the two other locations that I was interested in just to see, you never know. So the next one that we went to after that was Port Orleans. I think it's Oak Manor, which it was super gorgeous. And there was nobody outside when we went. So it was like very secluded. It was very quiet. It was a very beautiful, like very Southern charm. And that was actually Ryan's favorite. Like that's the one that he wanted to do. But it kind of has this like teal green accent color to it. And that's just like for my wedding colors, like that's just not my vibe. That's not my thing. And I thought it was really gorgeous, but also it was outside. Like that was kind of like, I was kind of up in the air about that. So that it was really gorgeous, but I still like, I had the Wedding Pavilion back in the back of my mind. And then the third one, I really wanted to see Seabreeze Point, but we had like such a hard time finding it because we were doing like kind of like a self-guided tour. So we had the map because when we went to Frank's bridal suite, they had like little brochures, pamphlets, and all kinds of stuff. And it had a little map that, you could see where all the venues are. So we took the map and we were like driving around and we could not find it. And we were getting frustrated because my husband was driving and I am so not good with directions. Like I got him a little lost. Like we were accidentally turning into Epcot. We actually did have to like turn around because we were going into the parking lot for Epcot. Like he was getting mad and it was a whole thing. But eventually we got to, I think it was the Boardwalk Hotel. And then we're trying to find our way and we're walking around and we just could not find it. And then at that point, we had reservations in the Magic Kingdom for Be Our Guest. So it was getting close to that. So we kind of just gave up and kind of decided like, if we can't find this and we've been to Disney like a bunch of times, then it would probably be pretty difficult for our guests who've never actually been here. So we just decided, I knew in my heart that it was going to be the Wedding Pavilion. So yeah, that's how I picked it.
And how did you choose the St. Augustine A and B ballrooms for your reception?
I knew that I wanted to have a ballroom just because I wanted like the freedom to be able to do whatever we want. Because I do have the Fairy Tale Weddings Guide. And so I read that part that you're pretty much able to do almost anything you want because guests won't see it. If you were in a more public place, you're not able to have as much creative free reign. So that's why I picked the ballroom.
Got it. Okay. Did you use any outside vendors for your event?
So we used Bella Gray Photography. She was amazing when I got my gallery back. Oh my gosh. One, I have like a zillion photos. I think I have something like 1,300 photos from the day. And every single one of them is absolutely breathtaking, gorgeous. Like I cannot say enough good things about Andrea and T. Like they just knocked it out of the park. It was so gorgeous. And then we used Block Weddings. I actually connected with him on one of the Disney groups. I chose him and I'm so glad that I did. He was wonderful. I used Reverie Events for my day of coordination. She actually, I did like the planning. It was like partial planning, I think, and then plus day of coordination because I had so many ideas in my head. I had just like so many different things that I wanted to do. I needed somebody to like bounce ideas off of and just like really help me execute and narrow down my ideas. Because my husband, being a guy, like he really just like did not want to discuss all things weddings with me all the time and help me like make decisions. Because if I give him two decisions, he's just gonna say, I don't know, you pick which one, which is not really big of a help. But she was very, very helpful. She helped me narrow down a lot of choices. I really enjoyed our Zoom meetings. It was great. And then when it came to the day of execution, it was amazing. It was perfect. I used gala photo booths for our photo booth. It was kind of important to me to have a photo booth because that was kind of like in lieu of me doing wedding favors. I wanted to do that because it's like keepsakes for my guests. Because I've been to weddings where people have photo booths and that it was a big hit. Every time I went to a wedding that had a photo booth, it's a big hit. You get to keep the photos. You get these mementos. We've got the online pictures. So that was really important to me too.
Got it. Now, how did you guys choose your officiant?
So we chose Reverend Kevin Knox. And of course, I know he's like one of the most sought after officiants. He's very popular. He did the Disney Fairy Tale Wedding show and all of that. But I actually did not have a great experience with that. So since we did a vow renewal, I had reached out to them, to the team pretty early on. And, he sent some good scripts and stuff and everything looked great. But even though it was a vow renewal, for me, this was pretty much going to be like my wedding since I never had a wedding. So for me, it was kind of important to do the things that I wanted to do in my ceremony, such as I'm very big on my faith. I'm very open about my faith. So I also picked the Wedding Pavilion because it was the most church-like setting. So the way that I wanted my ceremony to flow, I wanted to do, so after I walk down the aisle and everybody's still standing, I wanted to play a worship song before everybody sits down before the ceremony begins. So that's what was supposed to happen. My son actually played it live. So my oldest son, he's 16, and he plays acoustic guitar. So I had him learn the song with one of my wedding guests, and she sang. They were supposed to sing the worship song together. And before we had the ceremony, I had mentioned, like, are we going to have a rehearsal? Like, how's that going to work? And Reverend Kevin emailed me back and said, typically they don't do rehearsals for vow renewals because it's not really necessary. And so I was like, okay. And he said, but besides the point, I actually have another event on the day before. He was like, so I wouldn't be able to make it anyway, but if you want, we can do a Zoom meeting. But I took his word for it. I'm like, okay, well, he says we don't really need a rehearsal. So I had put everything in the email, like how it was going to flow, that we're going to have, me walk down the aisle. And then after that, we're going to go straight into the worship song while everybody's still standing. We're going to do the worship song and then we'll go into the ceremony. Everybody will be seated. So when the day came, like Disney was on the same page. Of course, I had to go through certain things with Disney to have my son be able to play live and my friends sing live. So everything had to be approved. They had to do a rehearsal. Disney had to approve it. My planners were very much on the same page. Jessica from Reverie Events was very much on the same page. I don't know how it got lost. I had put it in the email. So when the day comes, I walk down the aisle and, my dad and my husband shake hands. We walk up to the altar together. And at this point, we're supposed to make the announcements. We're going to remain standing, to do the worship song. And he went straight into the ceremony. And, so I'm kind of freaking out, but I'm standing up at the altar. I'm I look at the Disney wedding planner and she looked at me and then I look at Jessica and Jessica from Reverie Events kind of has a panic look on her face. Oh my God, what do we do? We're supposed to be doing the song right now. And I look at my son who's standing up there with my friend and they're looking at me and we're just kind of having this awkward moment. And then thank goodness the Disney wedding planner stepped in, kind of cut him off. And was like, we're going to do a worship song really quickly. It was very hushed. I don't know if anybody heard it. And he was like, oh, okay. And he just stepped to the side and we went right into the worship song. But anyways, we got through that. And so we went through the ceremony and we had it planned to do a stand ceremony with our children, which was also really important to me. And we had just discussed this with Reverend Kevin before we walked out. So he was in the bridal suite. So we met up with him in the bridal suite before the ceremony began. And, we kind of went over, I don't know why I didn't mention the worship song. Maybe I should have mentioned it then, but, I figured I put it in the email. I thought that, that would have gotten read. So we talked about what was going to happen when we did the ceremony. He was like, I'll say this, blah, blah, blah. Well, what would you like? Do you want me to sprinkle in some Disney magic and stuff like that? So we went over what was going to happen at the ceremony. And then we discussed that we were going to be having the sand ceremony. So when, we're going through the ceremony and we're getting towards the end of it and he completely skips the sand ceremony and goes straight into the, you may now kiss your bride again. And so I roll with it because the show must go on. So we kiss and they get the pictures and everything. And then, so normally after you do the kiss, you walk down the stairs and you walk out. So we kissed, and thank goodness again, the Disney wedding planner stepped in and said, we're going to do a sand ceremony. And then he just kind of did this oh, you know how when you like face palm kind of like he forgot basically. So then we were able to do the sand ceremony, but it was all kind of like out of order. So like not really the way that I envisioned it. I mean, the ceremony was pretty important to me. Like all of these aspects were pretty important to me. So that like, it made me a little bit upset after the fact. Like, I guess it's fine. When we were taking the photos after, so we did the photos outside at Picture Point, and I was kind of talking to Andrea about it, and she's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, video can edit. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, you'll never be able to tell anything. They'll be able to move stuff around and it'll be totally fine. So that kind of like took the pressure off a little bit. I'm like, okay, cool. And I've actually since gotten my ceremony video back, and it is completely seamless. Like, you can't tell that it even happened. But I mean, that was just something that wasn't ideal.
Interesting. Okay. Did you guys add any kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
So we had a DJ. We had DJ Steve Dunlap. He was awesome. He was so much fun. Oh my gosh, I cannot say enough good things about him. Like, his energy, I love it. He's such a fun guy. Like, I feel like me and him could be like such good friends. He's totally cool. The music was great. I had so much fun. And we actually wanted to incorporate the wedding shoe game before our reception got started, which was so fun. I felt like it would be just a fun thing to like get everybody kind of like a little bit comfortable, and it was really fun. And we got some great pictures out of it. And I can't wait to see my full wedding video, because I think that part's going to be so fun. And when we had Mickey Mouse, funny story, Mickey Mouse was one of my like non-negotiables. Like, if I was going to do a Disney wedding, I needed Mickey Mouse. Like, Mickey Mouse had to be there. And so as the reception is going along, I completely forgot that Mickey was even coming. So I'm dancing and I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. And then DJ Steve, he makes an announcement. He's like, hey, we need the bride and the groom to come to the middle of the dance floor. And I'm like, why? Like, I have no idea I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like, dancing. I walk to the middle, and I'm like looking at the planners, like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're getting ready for your special guest. And I'm like, oh, like, I completely forgot that he was even coming. And then shortly after that, that's when they announced him, and he came running out, and it was like the highlight of my life, like actually seeing Mickey Mouse. As many times as I've been to the Magic Kingdom, I've never actually got to see Mickey Mouse, because he's always in that, that front building, and the line is always like phenomenally long, and I don't want to wait. So I've never actually got to see Mickey Mouse there, and that to hug him like that, I almost cried. Like that was such a special moment for me.
That's awesome. Do you have any menu items or cake flavors you can recommend?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is one of the saddest things about my wedding, is that they put us in a private room so we could have our appetizers, and I could change into my second dress, my reception dress, before we come out and do the grand entrance. So I ate too many appetizers. So like, I was starving when I got in there, even though I had a big breakfast. By the time we got to the cocktail hour in our private room, I ate too many appetizers. And so by the time we got to the reception, I was so full, I could not eat another bite. So I think they served me a plate, of course, and I think I had one nibble of the beef dish, and it was delicious. I had a little sip of my French onion soup, which was delicious, but I was so full that I couldn't eat. And like, all of my guests were just raving about how phenomenal the food was. Like, a lot of times when you go to weddings, like, the catered food is not all that great. You kind of get what you get. But at Disney, it was like culinary chef, delicious. everybody was just like, the food was so good. Like, that is the best food that I've ever had at a wedding. And I'm so sad that like all this planning that I did, I didn't even really get to enjoy.
Aw, which appetizers did you fill up on?
I wanted to do like a charcuterie board. So it had like the fancy smoked meats and it had like the olives and the fresh fruit. And I just wanted it to be very like a feast, like they would do in like kingdoms and stuff like that. So that's really what I envisioned because I wanted it to be like fairy tale. So I picked that and then spinach and artichoke dip for a hot appetizer. And oh my gosh, it was all so good.
Do you have any cake flavors you can recommend?
So we did cookies and cream because I think I read in the fairy tale guide that it was like a take on the gray stuff from Be Our Guest. And so that is why I picked the cookies and cream cake flavor. And then I think I did just regular vanilla frosting because my children are pretty picky. And I knew if I picked something like fancy, like lavender or something like that, like they maybe wouldn't be too excited about that. So I wanted to keep it really kind of simple for them. So I picked the cookies and cream and vanilla for one tier. And then for our other tier, picked red velvet and cream cheese, and it was amazing. So good.
Can you tell my listeners a little bit about your dessert party that was in the Marina at the Grand Floridian?
Yeah, so that was actually pretty sad. I had to roll with it. They came in probably around 7:30, I think, to let me know that there was rain on the forecast. So in that event, we wouldn't be able to go outside and set the party up. And they said we could watch the fireworks because the rain wasn't scheduled to hit until 8:30. And I think the fireworks show was at 8. So they said they would let us go out and watch the fireworks, but we would have to host the party indoors. So that was a little bit of a letdown, but it was still super fun nonetheless. I didn't actually get to be a part of the Marina area because me and Ryan went off to take our pictures down by the water so we could have the fireworks shots and all of that jazz. But my parents and stuff were taking pictures of the kids and the fireworks, and it was so cute.
Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the Vow Renewal Day ran?
Yeah, we as a family, so we have 3 children, and then it's me and my husband, so we're a party of 5. So we stayed at the Grand Floridian, which is absolutely gorgeous. This was my first time actually staying on Disney property because my in-laws actually live in Florida. So every time we go to Disney, we get the luxury of being able to stay with them and not actually, have to get rooms and stuff like that. But we stayed at the Grand Floridian and it was so beautiful. Everyone was so amazing. So we woke up that morning bright and early. I wanted to make sure that my whole family ate, my little family of 5. I ordered room service. I can't remember where it was from. I think it was the room service for the Grand Floridian, but I ordered, it was like a breakfast for 4 or something like that. My kids are kind of, they pick at food. So I did the pack for 4. And so it came with Mickey waffles, eggs, bacon, hash browns, fresh fruit, coffee. Like it was the works. And I've never had Mickey waffles before. And now that I've had them, oh my gosh, they were so amazing. The best waffles I've ever had. And it just kind of like really, really set the tone for the day. So that was really exciting. So we got up and we had our breakfast, and right around that time when we were finishing up breakfast, Selena Lopez showed up to start doing my hair. So at that point, that was the cue for the boys to go over to the All-Stars because we booked a second room for them to go and get ready and do their thing over there so we could meet up later so we weren't getting ready together. So at that point, when hair arrived, that's when, we sent the boys on their way, and we said, we'll see you in a little bit. So for me, I want to say that we set apart like 3 hours to get ready, to do my hair, to do my makeup, for me to help my daughter get ready. So it was just me and my daughter, and then Selena doing my hair in our room at the Grand Floridian. And then the boys went over to All Stars because I wanted them to, I know it doesn't take them that long to get ready as long as it does for girls. They're kind of just like take a shower, brush their teeth, brush their hair, and they're ready. So they have the arcade there. So I thought it would be really cool for them to like get ready and, get in their tuxes and get all fancy and then go down to the arcade for a little bit and spend some time together, just the boys and kind of unwinding from, the stress of the day that's coming up. So we got some really, really cool pictures out of that because Andrea showed up and started doing the getting ready shots with me on my dress and all of the details. And then T had met Ryan and the boys over at the All Stars Resort and was getting their pictures, and it was awesome. I loved the way that the arcade photos came out, especially since like I couldn't be there. They were out doing their own thing. So now I have these pictures. That was really cool. And then, so I think we were supposed to do the first look at 1:00. But I think we ran a little bit late, with our getting ready stuff. So I want to say that I went down there at about 1:30, which I felt horrible because like I just kept picturing my husband like waiting down there for me and like I'm not there and I'm like, I need to hurry, I need to hurry. And it's weird for me because I'm such a makeup person. I love doing my makeup. Like I find it very relaxing and very calming. Like it's just like that's my process when I'm getting ready. I just feel like I feel really at home when I'm doing my makeup and such. And Selena and Nick from Blog Videography, they're like, you are like the calmest bride ever. And I feel like it's because like I was in my zone, doing my makeup. And then really I just wanted to see Ryan. Honestly, like when it's so cheesy, but like when we're apart, like I just want to be with him. So when I was getting ready and I knew that I had to go see him and I knew that he was waiting for me, like all I wanted was to just be with him. Like I wanted to run to him and just like be together, So when I was making my way over to where we met, which was at the staircase at the Grand Floridian, that was kind of like a surreal moment where like it's almost like you're a celebrity because everybody sees you, in this beautiful wedding dress. And I had this huge tiara on, and I've heard so many stories, so many brides on the show say like, they knew they wanted to have a Disney wedding when they saw a bride at Disney World. And there were so many little girls, like the way that they looked at me was, it's so heartwarming. Like, it makes me want to cry because you can tell, like, they just really think you're a real princess. And it's just like, it's so magical to them. So it's magical to me. I'm like, I was waving at them and they would like literally stop in their tracks and like jaws drop. Like, wow. And I feel like I was that moment for some little girls that day. It was just really, really surreal. And I remember telling that to Nick too, which I know he got that on microphone because I had the mic on. And I told it, I was like, oh my God, like that moment was so special for me because some of the parents stopped me and they were like, she just wants to say that you look so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like it was so awesome. And then, so I made my way over to the staircase and I'm at the top of the stairs. And it was so cool because like my family was there already because we were going to start taking the family photos. So my family was around and it was so cool to see everybody like in their tuxes and their like black tie outfits. Like for me, it was so cool to see everybody all dressed up and like, it was just amazing. And then like when I focused in on Ryan, like his back was turned to me. I saw the back of him and then it was like, there was so many people around. There was my family, and strangers. and people like, pulling out their phones to take pictures and videos. And, there's all these people around. And when I saw him and I kind of like zeroed in on the back of him and I realized what was happening, I did not see anything else. Like everything else just kind of faded away. And I just wanted to get down there to him and see him. And then, so I walked down the stairs and then I tapped him on the shoulder. And when he turned around, he had tears in his eyes. Like he was about to cry. And I was like, oh my God. Like it was such a beautiful moment. And it was so perfect. And our pictures came out phenomenal, as you guys will see. It was just the perfect moment. So we took our family photos after that, which was on the second floor of the Grand Floridian. So we took all of our family shots, and then we went outside to do some more couple shots of just me and Ryan, which was really fun. Like I had so much fun doing that. Just they were making us laugh, and some of my photos, they cracked me up because I have like I wanted to have like, like a cute, coy smile, like beautiful, and some of my pictures, I'm just like cracking up, like cheesing. But, and I even told Ryan, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm like smiling too much in some of these photos. And he was like, you can't smile too much. And then, he even told me like, that's the whole reason that I fell in love with you was because of your smile. And I'm like, oh, so yeah, so we were taking our pictures outside, and then it was like shortly after that we had to get over to the wedding pavilion to start the ceremony. So we're taking pictures, and then we go over to the big pink tree that's outside of the Grand Floridian. And at this point, the planners are kind of like rushing us a little bit, like, we got to get to the pavilion, we got to go. So I'm like taking pictures really, really fast with Andrea, and she's like, I got it. So we book it over to the pavilion, and so that's when we met up with Reverend Kevin and kind of talked a little bit. And then before you know it, I'm walking down the aisle, and then, so we have the ceremony, and then there's more pictures. So we got pictures at Pictures Point, and then we're taking pictures in the pavilion, which I let Andrea and T know that I really wanted photos with our children. So we had, some family shots in there. It was really important for me to get photos of our daughter with my husband because she had this big, pretty pink princess dress. And I really wanted to make sure that we got some like fairy tale photos of dad and daughter, and then me and the boys. And like, they were just beautiful photos. And then, so after that, my sister, who was my maid of honor, she took the kids, and then it was just me and Ryan, and we took some more photos on, like the bridge of the wedding pavilion, front of the wedding pavilion. That was another really important shot for me. I wanted that, with the two rings on the gate, like that. I really wanted that shot. And then, we got some shots in front of the monorail, like right in front of Frank's bridal studio. We got that shot. It was perfect. So after that, that's when we finally headed over to the reception center. So that's where they gave us our little private room so I could change into my second dress. And at that point, that like what's crazy is that I had a big breakfast. I don't understand, like by that point, I don't know why I was so starving, because that's specifically why I wanted to make sure that everybody had a big breakfast. But I guess, the stress of running around everywhere and taking all these photos, by the time we got to that room, our appetizers, they were amazing. They were delicious. And then I changed into my second dress, which was the ball gown. And that one kind of had like a little bit of a corset top. So I think that had another thing to do with it. Like it was really tight. So that might have been why I couldn't eat any more food. I was just like, trying to squeeze into that dress at that point. So I got into my ball gown, and then at that point, it was about time for the reception to start. So we went into the reception, and they reintroduced us, and I came out in my ball gown. And my husband had actually changed his suit as well. So he had an all black tux for the ceremony. And then for the reception, he changed into like a gold colored suit. So we both changed at that point, and then we re-entered into the reception wearing our second outfit. And so we did our first dance, and that was really special. I got to do it in my big ball gown, which that's that's kind of the only reason that I wanted the ball gown, was because I wanted to do the dance with the big and like have a princess moment. So we did that, and then we sat down, and I think that's when we did the toast. Yeah, so we had a couple toasts. My dad did the blessing over the food, and we ate dinner. I kind of like just picked up my food. And then we did the shugin. So they put the two chairs out in the reception, and we did that. And then after that, we went into the dancing. Then we had Mickey come out, which was awesome. My littlest son, his name is actually Mickey. So and he's not named after Mickey Mouse, but his real name is Michael. My dad's name is Michael, and Ryan's dad's name is Michael. So his nickname is Mickey. But we got the most awesome photos. Like, he was so in awe of Mickey Mouse. Like, there's a photo of him just standing still. He's 5 years old, and he's just like staring at Mickey Mouse. And when Mickey Mouse came out, he was following him everywhere. Like, he was just like, he wanted to be by Mickey. It's so cute because we have these photos, like, shortly after Mickey came out, we're dancing with him and taking photos. And then we're supposed to go over and cut our cake and have pictures with Mickey, like helping us cut the cake. And you see my son, like, he's next to Mickey, just like, he just wants to be close to Mickey Mouse. Like, he's totally photobombing, which is fine with me. But I thought that was so cool. Like, just his reaction to Mickey Mouse was awesome. And so then we did the cake cutting, and then we ate cake, and then we did more dancing. And then, before you know it, it was time to go outside for the fireworks. So then we went out for the fireworks, and it was photos, like spinning around in circles, because that's Andrea was like, just spin, and I'll take the pictures. And so that was really fun. It was a little bit crazy. But yeah, so we did our fireworks photos, and then we went back into the reception room, and again, I was still super full. So I had a few bites of our food. For the dessert party, we had Mickey pretzels, we had churros, we had Mickey Rice Krispie treats. I feel like I'm missing something, but I really, for the dessert party, I wanted to do like park foods that I love, like some of my Disney staples. I wanted my guests to experience that. Oh, popcorn too. I don't know if I said popcorn. We had the popcorn machine with the attendant. So we had all of that fun stuff. And again, I was just, because I had some of that wedding cake, I was still a little bit too full. So I had a few bites for pictures' sake. Andrea took pictures of us with the Mickey pretzels, eating the popcorn, and I had like a little tiny bite of everything, and it was really good. But again, that's one of my saddest moments, that I didn't like actually get to enjoy the food. And then before you know it, that it was the end of the night, and I was exhausted.
So when you were planning, what were some of the most important aspects of the event where you focused your attention or your budget?
For me, decor was really important. Like, I had a specific vision that I wanted for my reception, for the ceremony. And so that included like floral and the centerpieces. I did kind of a mix of both. Disney provided the candelabras, and they provided the candles, which I wanted like a lot of candles. But at the end of the day, it like budget that I had in mind and what I really wanted, like I had to come down from that vision a little bit. So I kind of like met in the middle. I had the candles from Disney, because you have to have those provided from them. I had the big candelabras on the table, which are kind of like an homage to Lumiere, because I wanted everything to be like French themed, because Beauty and the Beast is my favorite, and that is what I wanted to base everything off of. So my cuisine was based off of French food. I picked the menu to be inspired by Be Our Guest, because when we went to tour the Wedding Pavilion the year before, we made those reservations at Be Our Guest, and it was just like a daily special or something that they had at Be Our Guest, and it was like a beef bourguignon, and it was so good. It was so amazing. I loved it. Plus the French onion soup and the French bread, like everything about that day, you know, making these memories with my husband. It was so special to me, and the food was amazing. So when we were planning the menu, I told him, like, I had this meal at Be Our Guest, and I want to do something like that. I want it to be French themed, like Beauty and the Beast. And so they told me that they couldn't replicate it exactly, but they could do something inspired, because I guess that recipe belongs to the Be Our Guest restaurant. They said they could do something inspired, and so we did that. We did the beef bourguignon, and for our chicken dish, we did chicken coq au vin, and then I had a fish. I think it was mahi mahi. That one I just picked, like, you know, just in case somebody doesn't want beef chicken, we'll have fish, just in case. And then we did the French onion soup. Now the French onion soup, that one was a little bit tricky because we did a buffet. So at the restaurant, they bring you out the soup, and it's in, like, you know, that little special bowl, and it's got the cheese melted on top, and they're made pretty much individually prepared. So when we did the buffet, they said, you know, we have to tweak it a little bit because we're going to be, you know, serving it soup style. So they did the cheese on the side and the little bread and everything in it. When I had the sip of soup that I did have, it was phenomenal. It was so savory. Like, I've never tasted anything like it. But yeah, so that was important to me to really stick to the theming. So we did the French food. I had my gold candelabra decor accents like Lumiere. And then I did some DIY accents myself, like the centerpieces that you'll see on the table. Those are faux flowers. They look real, but I actually made those myself. And, gosh, I waited until the very last minute to actually put those together, like 2 days before we were leaving. That was very stressful, but I'm a procrastinator, so it all worked out. Like they came out beautiful, and I think just the way that everything turned out was my perfect vision. Oh, and also I forgot to mention that I did have another outside vendor that I used for my uplighting. I used a company called DIY Uplights. So that was another kind of important aspect to me. I really, really wanted the uplighting, but the price that I got quoted was just not feasible, like where we were at in the budget. So I'm like, I've got to do something. So I found this company called DIY Uplight. And so you're able to rent them. And so they send them to you. Well, they actually had to send them to the Grand Floridian, and I picked them up when I arrived. And so I had Jessica, my day of coordinator, she set them up. I splurged for the wireless ones because they have the ones with the wires that you could plug in, or you could get wireless, which I paid a little bit extra for the wireless because I didn't know what the plug situation was going to be like in the ballroom. And of course I wouldn't be able to be there to set it up. So I thought I would just make it easier on everybody and get the wireless ones. And I had told Jessica the color that I wanted, which was bright white, like pure white. So when I came into the room, when we did the reception reveal, like I have this picture too, like you could see it on my face. Like it was everything that I wanted and more. Like I was so happy. Like I just have the biggest smile on my face. And my husband is like kind of smiling too, cause he sees me smiling. Like I'm so happy. And, yeah, that was probably, I think the biggest aspect for me was like the decor and what I wanted it to look like and feel like and even smell like. I don't know if I was allowed to do this, but I had Jessica bring in a certain room spray that I had of like my favorite scent is from Diptyque. It's called Bays, and it just smells like fresh floral, like luxe heaven. It smells amazing. And I had her take that in and she kind of like sprayed the room before everybody came in. So like I had this plan down to like, I know what I want my wedding to smell like, you know? So, yeah, that was really important to me. And then also having Mickey Mouse, the myth, the legend, that was really important.
Were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
Yeah, I would say for me, like I felt like transportation wasn't a big one. I remember discussing that with the wedding planners. Like, did we want to do, the charter bus and stuff? And then, half of my wedding guests were driving in from Tampa and St. Pete, so that wasn't going to be required. Plus, like everybody had rented cars, so I felt like that was one of the things like nobody would really miss. And then again, the party favors. I didn't do the party favors because I felt like the photo booth was kind of like the party favors for the guests. And I think that's it.
So out of all of this, what ended up being your favorite memory of your vow renewal day?
My favorite memory is being able to dance with my husband. So he's not like a real, like emotional, lovey-dovey kind of guy. He's kind of like the tall, dark, and handsome type, silent, strong type. So the moments that we got to be alone, I wanted to do a private dance in our ballroom when we did the room reveal, just me and him, just dancing. So we did that, which was very special to me. Even though there were people in there, like the DJ was in there, the videographer was in there, the photographer was in there. It honestly, it just felt like me and him, and we were having that special moment, just me and him, like realizing like what this whole thing is about. Like this whole circus that I wanted, it was really about me and him and our love and celebrating the fact that we made it to 10 years. Cause as I'm sure you know, marriage is not a walk in the park. We had some tough times and this was really just a celebration of like, we did it, we made it. And, so we had that private dance. And then of course we had our first dance, and then he slow danced with me some more during the reception. And then at the end of the night, we had a private dance closing out. So for me, those moments with him alone, just dancing and just holding each other, that was my absolute favorite part of the day. That was like hands down. That's what it was all about for me.
That's wonderful. Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about, and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
Not really. Like I said, a lot of people said like when the day came, I was really excited to like go out there and experience the day and, just live for the moment. And, I feel like I wasn't too worried about anything. I was ready to go out and do it.
That's great. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Yes, I would have arrived a day earlier than we did. So we actually arrived the day before, which was the night of our rehearsal. So we drove in, we drove in from Texas, which is a 16-hour drive, which we cut into 2 days because we have the kids. And so I know the kids wouldn't want to do a straight 16-hour drive through. So, we split it up between 2 days. But when we arrived on, Monday, which was the day before, it was like chaos from the moment that we got there because we had so much stuff we had to unpack. And this was still a couple hours before the rehearsal. So even then, it was way too much chaos. If I had to do it again, I would arrive a day before because there was some stuff that I wanted to get done. Like I had prepared little welcome bags for my guests, and I didn't want to go through the whole thing of having Disney deliver them and stuff like that. I was just going to go take them. It was a pretty small group of people. But since we had gotten there so late, I didn't even have a chance to do that. And then a lot of my guests left immediately the day after because it was the middle of the week. My mom had to get back to work. My dad had to get back home, like I wasn't even able to get those welcome bags out, which they were small things, like just little, thank yous, like chocolates and little things like that. So I had to hang on to those and, it was fine, but I just feel like I should have been a little bit more prepared. I should have arrived like a little bit earlier and given myself some time, because from the moment that we got there, it was go time. And if I had to redo that over, I think that's what I would do.
Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
Just research everything. I was constantly in the Disney weddings groups, like asking questions, asking for pictures, advice. Like, I feel like I had a very specific vision for what I wanted, but I was also very much inspired by past Disney brides and things that they've done. And the podcast has been like phenomenal. Like, I remember there was a point when I was in the planning process, like I was just binging episodes and getting so many ideas and so much different insight from people, like stuff that I didn't even know was an option. Like, before I listened to the podcast, I didn't know that you could use outside vendors. I thought like everything had to be Disney. And like, had I not, listened to all the information and like done all my research, I wouldn't have known, I saved a bundle, like doing things the way that I did. I think I saved a ton of money. I would say get really clear on your vision. I think it really helped me to have like a PowerPoint set up. Like, I have all my inspiration pictures. I feel like I'm pretty good about explaining what I specifically want, what I want things to look like, what I want it to feel like. So I had done all of my research beforehand, before I had even had my meeting with the planners, which my planner was Carol, and she was amazing. Like, I had such a good experience. She was very, very, very good at communicating. Like, when I would email, if I had questions, she was very quick to respond. I got my BEO, I got my estimates, I got everything like in a very timely manner, and communication was just on point with her and her team. And I feel like because I was so prepared, because I knew exactly what I wanted, I knew what to ask, I knew what to say that I wanted, I feel like it made it easier on them. Like, I pretty much just said, like, I want this, and they're like, okay, let's make it happen. I feel like I didn't go into it like, well, I don't know, like, like I need someone to kind of guide me. I had kind of like taken that upon myself. Like, no, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to figure out everything that I want, and then just we'll make it happen.
That's great advice. Well, Courtney, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.